I'm working with Lawo, I could say it's already 10 years. Originally it was, I was working as a VSM engineer when I worked for the local system integration company in Slovakia, but then I joined the Lawo directly. My original background is basically video editing and special effects, promo videos and from this area. But later I moved into the area of more the broadcast technologies, guarantee engineer in the studios and do all this kind of stuff to be able to configure cameras, switchers and all basic stuff you typically need in your facility. During my career as a VSM engineer, I worked for many customers. It was, of course, the typical OB1 installations or small studios, but also it were huge, large-scale installations in, for example, Japanese broadcasters or broadcasters in the US. We also worked for the biggest sports events, which you can see around the globe, and that's still happening regularly. We have it every year, always delivering all the special workflows and the magic. I like the job, right? It's really fun because it's a kind of art, right? To deliver. To be able to do the proper art, you need proper features, proper tools, and that's what VSM is giving us. Of course, there are events watched by millions of people, and then there is some problem and you need to troubleshoot it, and you need to access the live system. And then you realize that one wrong button click can basically make black screen on everywhere around the globe. That's not the situation you want to be. We are trained, we are professionals, so we know how to handle these situations. During the event, when everything works, of course, we are always happy, that's good, but we are even more happy when the event is done, because then we know nothing will break. You want VSM because VSM is the place where you can build more advanced workflows. If you go, for example, to Japan, they have some ways how they work. If, let's say, I would use the same interface and go to US or Australia, they need different workflows. And that's something what you can do only with VSM to do all these customizations. We don't have to start always from scratch. It always depends. Because sometimes after some years you have huge technological change. So it's not always easy to continue in the existing configuration. In many situations, yes, we can use the same, we just need to adapt it because you have on the events sometimes new crew, new engineers, they are used for different workflows, so we are trying always to adapt it for their needs. You don't need to have 2, 3, 4 different interfaces to control your device, but you can have everything in VSM in a nice visual way. We can build also backend logic which is doing some job for you automatically. This is all the magic I really like on the VSM, which we can build there really easily. VSM controls still IP and also SDI, baseband devices. And there are scenarios where the customer has the both situations, because you have still SDI but made the upgrade of your system to IP partially. From VSM perspective, we don't care if it's IP or baseband. We can work with both and we can combine these two. If you have baseband solution and you are considering VSM to buy as your controller, it's a good choice, because then one day when you decide to move into the IP, you can still keep the same VSM. VSM really changed during last, let's say, 10 years. If you look at the interface, there are some aspects which are still the same, basically. The backend, the code and the functionalities and all the bigger efficiency and all different aspects which you need to consider in your broadcast facility changed, developed in a huge way. What I like on the VSM is the way how easily and fast I can build the workflows and the functions in the system. And what I'm always saying is that the speed difference between VSM and the other broadcast controllers is massive. VSM is extremely fast, and basically we are able to execute thousands of operations within few milliseconds. The magic of VSM and what I really like is the options we have and what everything we can actually create. Because once we have access into some device and we can control the device via some API, we see the parameters, we can basically create really nice panels, nice interfaces, where we can, for example, create the proper DSK functionalities or even the virtual switchers or really nice audio interfaces like small audio console. And because of the huge support of the protocols we have in VSM, we are able to connect and control all major players on the market, all the devices. Dodge is a good example. We can access basically all the information, all the parameters which are inside Dodge. We can access them from the VSM perspective. We can integrate everything into the VSM logic to have it like some backend alarm logic or whatever else, or just for the monitoring purposes and expose it on the VSM panels or hardware panels. Multi-user editing, that's one of the best features we have these days, because imagine you can have up to 8 servers in the cluster, right? So that means that multiple users, so 8 users can actually access the VSM panel editor and work at the same time. Recently, during one big project in Japan, we used this feature already when I needed to build the backend logic of the VSM, to create the logic and the workflows and very specific stuff there. But our partner in Japan, they were able to use the second server and building the panels. So if I'm on the server 1 and I am moving the button or changing the properties of that one, the user on the second server basically see the same. It's reflected automatically on his server. What we can see here on this screen is my panel editor, where I am building the color corrector. This is just my editor. I'm just creating the links between the physical device, which is in this case the home app color corrector. That's something we are preparing for our Lawo shows. For now, the main reason of building this is for the demonstration purposes, but because it's already done, there is no limitation. We can just use it also for different projects. What you can see here, that's what we are preparing for the IBC, and this will represent the PCR use case of our dynamic media facility, basically. So what you can see now, we have just black screen, which means that I just shut down my facility because my production, let's say, is done. So I don't need anything to running. So all my multiweavers, UDX, color correctors, everything is down. And in case we need some different production type, I can just start it. So let's say that now we need some MCR. So I can just start my MCR and it will basically start all the apps. Here we have also the list of the apps which are running even there. How do I switch? Now I'm doing that manually in the system configuration, but in IBC there will be special button which you can press, and the button will basically spin up everything, all the application for you. So technically it will be based on the GPIOs. We can use the button like in Casino, and that will spin up your application, your use case. So this is exactly the dynamic media facility, because we can spin down, spin up based on the need. The evolution of the VSM never stops, right? And I can assure you the coming months and years, what you will see in VSM will be big things that will be game changers. And when you combine this, all the experiences and the new stuff, then you have the magic.